Very good morning, students. This video is for the uterus. Okay, the uterus is a pelvic organ located in the lesser pelvis, and it is a child-bearing organ. When the examiner will ask you about this organ in the examination, there will be a dissected body like this, and he may ask you the first question: identify the uterus. Okay, in this is dissected specimen. Okay, so you have to identify the uterus. Uterus you can identify by the presence of a pear-shaped structure. See, this is the uterus. This is the pubic symphysis is here. This is the superior surface of the urinary bladder covered by the peritoneum. Then this peritoneum reflects onto the anterior surface of the uterus here. So this is the anterior surface of the uterus. This is the fundus of the uterus. This is the posterior surface of the uterus, which is continuous here below into a recess or the pouch called as the recto-uterine pouch, in which my finger is going. So here will be the rectum is here. So this is the location of the uterus. So with the help of a forceps, you just can point out that this is the uterus. Then he may ask you, what is the size of the uterus? You may always say that the uterus is a organ which is a pear-shaped. It has the length about 3 inches or 7.5 centimeter length, and then it has the width about 2 inches or 5 centimeter, and the anteroposterior thickness of the uterus is about 1 inch or 2.5 centimeter. Then another question he may ask you that what are the parts of the uterus which are visible in this specimen? You can only say that here the uterus is showing the body of the uterus and fundus of the uterus. The lowermost part of the uterus will be cervix, which is however not very clearly seen because it is covered by the peritoneum here. Okay, now then he can ask you where is the fundus and where is the body. You can see that on either side of the uterus these are the two fallopian tubes attached here. You can see here these are the fallopian tubes are attached onto the uterus, and the structure which is above this fellow attachment of the fallopian tube, that rounded structure here, okay, that is called as the fundus. So this way you can demarcate that the fundus is a part which lies above the attachment of the two fallopian tubes. You can see this fallopian tube attachment. You can see this is one of the fallopian tube is here, then there is another fallopian tube will be on other side, and then the structure which is above the opening of the fallopian tubes will be the fundus, and the rest of the structure below it is the body of the uterus. Okay, then he may ask you to show the surfaces of the uterus. You can say that in standing position, when the bladder is empty, there are the surfaces, the anterior surface, okay, which faces antero-inferiorly. Then there is a posterior surface which may face postero-superiorly. The anterior surface which faces antero-inferiorly will lie in contact with the superior surface of the bladder in standing position, while the posterior surface which faces postero-superiorly will be in contact with the coils of the small intestine. Okay, this will be ileum. Mostly the ileum it will be in relation to this. Okay, so there are anterior surface, posterior surface, and then he may ask you what about the lateral borders. So then you can say that the lateral border is on the sides, right side as well as onto the left side, and from here the fold of the peritoneum which were covering to the anterior and posterior surface, they pass. The double fold of the peritoneum from the lateral border of the uterus, it passed to the side of the pelvic cavity, lesser pelvis, attached onto the side wall of the lesser pelvis. this double fold of the peritoneum which is in my hand, you can say that this is called as the broad ligament of the uterus. Okay, so this fold of the peritoneum on either side extending from lateral border to that of the pelvic cavity is the fold of the peritoneal cavity. I mean say this lesser pelvis. Okay, lesser pelvis. Now then he can ask you what is the ligaments present here, okay, which are giving support to the uterus. You can see that there are two important fibromuscular ligament are there. One of the ligament is from the fundus, from the attachment site of the fallopian tube is, see this, let me just expose the fallopian tube first. Yes, this is the fallopian tube, this is the ovary is here, okay, and then from this fallopian tube here, okay, there is a ligament, fibromuscular ligament, which goes towards the anterior side, this, and this is called as the round ligament of the uterus. See this in my fingertip, I am just showing you the round ligament of the uterus, which will go to the deep inguinal ring, and through the inguinal canal it will go outside to the labium major. So this is that fibromuscular band coming from the anterior aspect of the attachment of the fallopian tube. This is the round ligament of the uterus. This will be on either side. See here it is broken, okay. Anyway, so there will be the round ligament of the uterus will be there. Another ligament will be there which will give attachment to that of the ovary here. See, this is the ovary, and this another ligament which starts from the fundus and goes up to the ovary. It is the round ligament. I'm saying it is the ligament of the ovary. You can see the ovary here. See on the posterior aspect of the broad ligament, this is the ovary, and this ligament, see this ligament, this is the ligament of the ovary. So there are two ligaments which are here, ligament of the ovary and the round ligament of the uterus. The peritoneal fold, which is a broad ligament of the uterus, which is not a very true ligament because it is just the fold of the peritoneum, which of course divide the peritoneal cavity. This broad ligament which extend on either side, it divide the pelvic cavity into the anterior to the uterus and a large area which is posterior to the uterus, which contain the sigmoid colon here, the rectum, coils of the ileum, and on anterior compartment which is smaller, there is a urinary bladder is there. So that this peritoneal reflection in front and behind that of the this uterus will show two pouches, as we have learned in the last video also. This is the utrovesical pouch. This is the superior surface of the urinary bladder, utrovesical pouch, and this deep pouch here is the recto-uterine pouch. Recto-uterine pouch. I think this many questions he can ask you in relation to that of the uterus in a specimen. Thank you very much for watching. In the next video, when we will take a section of this uterus and we will see the uterine cavity and the cervical cavity together, a cervical canal. Thank you very much for watching.